So welcome again, everybody, to our webinar, Securing More Leads in a Changing REI Landscape. I'm going to start with a little intro to who is online with us today. So really, you'll be hearing from myself, Allison Jokinen. I am product manager here at Lead Sherpa. Some of you may know me already or maybe had a call with me previously. And so I'm going to be going through a little bit of the product side of things today, but I also have Jason online with me today, and we probably all know who Jason is, our founder and CEO. And so he's going to kick us off with the real meat and potatoes, I guess, of the webinar, the good stuff of what's going on in the REI industry right now and how these kind of changes may affect you. And then we'll talk about how to tackle those things going forward. All right, so in the actual webinar, just so you know what to expect over the next 30 minutes or so, we're going to talk about all of the changes that are happening. So changes are coming to SMS, to RVM, to cold calling. So these aren't even all things that Lead Sherpa offers, but it's things that affect our user base. And so we want to be transparent and talk about everything that is to come. Then we're going to talk about how these changes, yes, affect you, but how you can then take that, learn from it, and move forward and really laser target your prospects with some of our products, PropStack, SMS, and direct mail. And then at the end, we will save a little bit of time for questions and answers. And so on the next slide here, we have some housekeeping. So you should see this little Q&A button on the bottom of your Zoom screen there. You can just pop your questions in there as we're going along. We are going to have specific times for questions. One time when Jason is done his part of it, and then another time at the end for more product-focused questions or questions that haven't been addressed. If we can't address everybody's questions by the end, we will reach out to you after the webinar as well to address your questions that you have. So anything that you have that you want to ask, pop it in the Q&A there. Laura is also online with us today, Laura Donovan, and she is our customer success manager. She's helping us with the logistics today, but she's going to be helping out in that Q&A section of Zoom there. Post-webinar, we will send you the recording and also a survey. So Jason, why don't you go ahead and take it away? You're muted, in case you're not aware.
All right, guys, so we're going to start it off by talking about there's two new protocols that are going to affect really the telecom side of our industry, right? So if you're texting or cold calling or shooting out RVMs, we want to just really, the first part of this presentation is to touch on each one of the things that we see coming, relay the information that we know about each one, and just kind of help spread awareness about what we see coming. So we're going to start off with cold call here. There's a protocol called stir, shake, and that is coming down the pipe here, and it's what it is. It's basically a technology that's designed to stop robocalls. And so we all get those all day long. I know I get an incessant amount of robocalls, and what this is designed to do is to hopefully really significantly cut down on that, and allow legitimate callers through the networks to be making the majority of the calls to the cell phones and landlines that are out there. That protocol is scheduled to be fully implemented supposedly by the end of next month, but these things keep getting pushed back further and further. So it wouldn't surprise me if that continues to take a back seat. The full implementation. I wouldn't be surprised if it was the end of summer or even fall before we really start to see the effect of this, or potentially even later. But it's important to understand what is coming. So how will it affect cold calling and RVMs? The protocol, the stir, shake, and protocol will not actually be blocking phone calls. So that's a good thing. But it is going to be, it's going to be relaying more information to the recipient about who the caller is. And so if it's an untrusted source, that that recipient is going to have the opportunity to decline those calls. Many phones out there are able to just silence unknown callers now anyway, and so I imagine that we're going to start to see a significant, if not at first, but a notable decrease in connection rates. So that's something to look out for. There are, legitimate callers will certainly have the opportunity to register and get basically a trust certificate assigned to them that will allow their legitimate information to be pushed through to the recipient, which will hopefully at some point, once this is fully implemented, allow the recipient to understand who that person is calling them. And so we anticipate that there will be some issues also with ringless voicemail. I think probably a more significant impact on ringless voicemail just because of the way that the technology works. I would imagine that it's going to cut down quite a bit on the connection rates for that to even be possible to drop those voicemails into the inboxes of the recipient's phones. So that's something to watch out for. Again, I haven't said this yet, but I will say we're giving you guys the information that we have now, and even the carriers that we're working with, they're frustrated too because of the lack of information from the major telecom companies, Verizon, AT&T, et cetera. They each have their own method of applying these different protocols into their own networks. And so nothing is really set in stone at this point. And most of what we're going to present to you certainly is, I would say, subject to change. And the timelines most certainly are. All right, so the question that a lot of people have been asking us, for obvious reasons, since we brought SMS to the real estate industry at scale, is does this mean that SMS is dead? Well, right now, no, right? So it's still working very well for thousands of our users. It's working exceptionally well for people who are really sticking to the best practices that we've set up. But we are seeing increased filtering, more complex messaging requirements, right? So it's harder to figure out exactly what you can and can't say in your initial messages. It's kind of a cat and mouse guessing game. We're able to see as a company that manages or oversees thousands of people texting, we have more insight into that. And so what we're doing is we're working on some changes that are coming to help take the guesswork out of that process. So, assuming the hammer doesn't drop like we initially thought it might, we believe that there may be a way to kind of navigate these changes that are coming. And so as a part of that, we've got some really cool ideas. There's no way to get around 10DLC per se, but there's certainly some things that you can do and that we are implementing into the system that will just help with deliverability and compliance. All right, so what is 10DLC? 10DLC was created by an organization called the CTIA, and it's not legally binding, right? So we're still TCPA compliant. That's something that's very important to remember. In fact, there's a recent Supreme Court ruling that really backed up our original position from 2.5, 3 years ago. And so it's not about whether or not the messaging that you're sending out is legal. It's more about this protocol being implemented that will control the messaging over the networks. That whether or not the carriers will even allow the messaging to happen. Right now, they still are, but the concern is there are some actors out there that maybe are shooting out too high of a volume. And they want some accountability attached to that. So that's what the kind of the impetus behind this new protocol is to control the volume more, assign a trust score, get some accountability in there. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that here. So again, full details and timelines are still unknown right now. But from what we understand and what we've been told by the carriers that we work closely with, that we've been working with for 3-4 years now, since I first started messaging, we believe that, and we're being told actually that the messaging threshold is 500 messages a day, maybe as much as 2,500 messages per day, depending on the carrier. AT&T might have a different threshold than Verizon, for example. So we're still in the adoption phase of this. And, once the carriers all maybe, hopefully they'll kind of come together and be a little more congruent with what they've decided on, but there could be different limits between the carriers. And as we understand that, we'll build some of those, attributes or traits into the system, so it will be automatically handled. Accounts operating under this threshold, though, may not even be required to register. So that's something to remember. It's also something we're going to talk about more than once here about, rather than taking the shotgun approach, what I personally have been doing and some of our more successful power users, we've really refined the way that we're going after properties. Taking that laser targeted approach versus just hitting everybody in our market. And I think that's going to be something very important to remember and understand as some of these changes really come to fruition and take place here. So one last thing though, too, if you don't register and you're a high volume sender, you should 100% expect your delivery rates to tank, and possibly even fines at some point. That's not something to worry about in the near term, but it is something that we've been told that will be coming for people who are perceived to be abusing the system. So it's not really necessary to go into the exact specifics. We're going to handle all this for you guys. But basically, what the requirements are now are you've got to register your business if you choose to do so. It's optional at this point, but we're encouraging people to go ahead and move proactively towards following these 4 steps. So register your business and your brand, and then you got to register your use case. Once that takes place, and if you are approved, you'll receive a trust score based off the type of messaging that's going to be going out from your account. We've created a guide, so if you just go to www.sms.guide, there's more info there. We're going to be continually updating that guide. So it's just started now, but it has the basics of everything that you'd need, more detail than even what we're going to go into here. Feel free to check that out though, and bookmark that, or just remember it and check back there anytime you want to. So will this new protocol, will it kill SMS prospecting? We don't know. We have no idea if it will altogether kill it, or just restrict it significantly. I think it's probably going to end up somewhere in the middle, where the glory days of SMS messaging 2 years ago, where there was very little restriction, high delivery rates. I think those days are behind us for good. But we at the end of the day, we just don't know what kind of impact this is going to have, which is again why we're really going to start to strongly encourage every one of our users to diversify their marketing channels. And again, this is what the power users, the big players are doing. This is what I'm doing, and even the smaller folks. Most people know that you shouldn't just put all your eggs into one basket, but we've had many people over the years tell us how good SMS works for them, and they've dropped all the other marketing channels because of how effective it is, how cost effective it is, how quick to generate the leads it is. We understand that, but it's never good to have all of your eggs there in one basket. So that's what we're going to talk about more than once here today. So again, we don't know the full impact, but RVM, SMS, and cold call, all 3 of these things are going to be affected. How much, we don't know just yet, but they will be. So take the time, the opportunity that you have now to start to plan ahead. again, as always, right, we've always been committed to being transparent with all of you guys, our users and potential users, and just really the industry in general about what we're learning and sharing that information. So please, again, check back with us anytime, reach out to support. We're happy to answer your questions. But again, diversify your marketing channels. You'll get better leads, you'll get them in less time, spending less money, and ultimately that's going to lead to more deals. So I'm going to turn it over to Allison here and let her give a short presentation on a couple of things that we've been working on that we're excited about.
All right, great. Thank you, Jason. Let me just make sure I select my correct screen here. All right. Great. All right. So by the way, I don't think anybody has questions so far, or if there are, maybe I just can't see them and Laura's handling it. But if you do have questions about anything Jason just covered, please do pop them in the Q&A part on Zoom there, and we will come back around to questions once I'm done kind of going through our new products and how to take everything that you just heard Jason say and learn from it and make changes in how you are prospecting leads and how you can use our new tools in order to do that. And so I'm also aware that not everybody here is an SMS subscriber. So you might just be here to see what the new products are. And so we'll speak to in as general as possible through this kind of demo. So I'm going to start here with PropStack. So PropStack is Lead Sherpa's free list stacking service. So one, if you don't already have a Lead Sherpa account, go create one. It's free and you can utilize our list stacking service completely for free. But two, if you have a Lead Sherpa account, you haven't used it recently, or even if you use it every single day, all of your data that you have in your account from previous skip traces or even old SMS campaigns, even if you've canceled SMS, it's here for you to utilize. So this is really the heart of Lead Sherpa now. It's where everything should start. And it's the reason why we built this so that you can be much more specific and laser targeted instead of doing the shotgun approach with your leads. We built a list stacking software exactly for that reason. So we know that you shouldn't be sending, thousands upon thousands of messages all the time anymore. We know that nobody wants to spend all of their budget monthly on direct mail. And so how do you make sure you're using the most of your leads? How do you make sure you're contacting those who are going to turn into deals and not wasting time and throwing money away? You list stack. So if you don't know what list stacking is, basically it will recognize all of your duplicate records that have been imported from different lists. So to break that down a little bit, maybe you have 123 Main Street and you imported it a year ago on a bankruptcy list. You imported it 2 months ago on a pre-foreclosure list, and you're going to import it again next week on a divorce list. There's no way really for you to know that this address is on multiple lists unless you're like an Excel whiz and cross-checking all of your information. So how to use PropStack in order to do the actual list stacking? Really, really easy. Again, also free, but you just hit this import button here, upload your file, and you tag it on the way. So if you have a judgment file, you'll tag it as judgment, or if you have a quitclaim file, you tag it as such. And so when you import that file, all of the records in that file will then get that tag. So then when we come over to the filtering tab, we look at the property records tab, and there's only ever one instance of a property address, and all of the tags are together on that one record. So then you'll come over to the distress indicators scale here, and I may want to look at show me all of the records that have 3 or more distress indicators. And so the distress indicators are these vacant tags or pre-foreclosure tags. And then I can see I have records that have 6 distress indicators. And so these are people that I should probably go after. These are the ones I should be spending money on mailing. We also give some additional free information for you. So you just upload your records and we will append the property information for you. So this last sold date, you'll actually only see this filter if you are an SMS subscriber. It is a paid feature, but everything else you see here is completely free. So If you do have a paid subscription, then you will be able to filter by the last sold date as well. So you can say, okay, show me 3 or more distress indicators. And also, I don't want to consider anybody who has sold their property in the last few years. And so then I get this much shorter list. And then I can also use all of these other filters here. I can say, oh, I only like looking at vacant, or I don't like looking at probate. And then use other, if you're using the prospect pages in Sherpa, I can look at people who I have or haven't marked as a qualified lead, for example, or all the lead stages. Maybe I don't want to look at people who have already marked as deal closed. And so I can filter all of my records down to then take advantage of them. And so taking it back to SMS, again, I know that we don't all have an SMS account, but in order to keep utilizing SMS, potentially under that 500 message a day threshold, this is a really great place to do it. I think that there's just a lot of value in really specific follow-ups. And so you can message people right from within PropStack, click on the Prospect Records tab, and open up the Messages tab for that prospect. Now it should load. Zoom often takes up quite a bit of my bandwidth here, but it should load the conversation. Let me see if I can scroll to a better one. So here I can see the last message I sent this person, or maybe I had a conversation with this person 6 months ago, a year ago. I'll be able to see that all here and say, hey, Michael, the last time we spoke, you said this. Instead of doing these really generic bulk follow-up messages, I'm being very specific in my follow-ups. I'm going to catch their attention, and I'm probably going to stay under that 500 message a day threshold and potentially close more deals because I'm just paying more attention and they can feel that. So SMS is still alive, as Jason said, but just do it in a more specific way. List, stack, and then be more specific in your follow-ups. We can also take action right from PropStack and push it to an SMS campaign. But again, just try to think about all these protocols that are going on and try to stay under that threshold. Don't do this really big bulk outbound messaging anymore, and list stack instead, and be a little bit more specific in your follow-ups. But the other thing we can do here, we can also skip trace. So if we have records that do not have phone numbers, we can skip trace right from within here. Skip trace is tried and true. People love our data. I don't think I need to go too far into it on this webinar, but if you have questions, just pop them in the chat. But the other new item here is direct mail. So it's really easy to set up a direct mail campaign. I think some people think, oh, setting up a direct mail campaign, I have to write out my templates. I have to make sure I'm contacting the right people. You saw how easy it was to just list stack the data to bring it down to a small list. Just hit push to campaign and then direct mail. And a great thing, by the way, with direct mail with Lead Sherpa, no subscription required at all. So if you just want to try it out, come to your free PropStack, list stack, and send a few pieces. We actually don't have a minimum or a maximum. It's 44 cents per postcard right now. And so if you just want to try out direct mail for the first time, please do come in and try it out. And so I'll show you how quick and easy it is to create a campaign. So I'll do test campaign. We just need a few settings. We only have postcards right now, more options coming soon. And then if we click here, we can see the different templates that we have. So right now we have 5 templates, more to come. This is a new platform, but we have some pretty awesome templates here. So our printers actually use handwriting machines. So it looks like you wrote these postcards, but really it's done with a machine. And you just tell the system, I want to send postcards with this template to this list, and we sub that information in for you. So the owner information, the mailing address, the property address, who it comes from, and the number they should contact you back at, that is all done in just a few steps. So the handwritten postcards are great. This one actually pulls in the street view image of the property itself. So I'm going to choose that one. It's actually our most popular postcard. And then I'm going to put the number I want people to call me back at. As you saw, that gets subbed into the postcard there. I'm going to put that I want it to come from Allison, the drop date when it gets dropped into the mailing system, and then my return address. And this is really all of the information I need. So I'm going to hit next. I can review. Great, 44 cents per piece. Approve and pay. It says approve and pay, but really we're not paying until 72 hours before the drop date, but we're just approving it. And then we can come and view the campaign itself. Let me just refresh as it takes a minute to load in there. There we are. And I can view the postcard preview, the schedule. That's not the one I just created. Sorry about that. It just takes a second for them to load in there. But we can view the postcard we selected and we can change it up until a certain point. We can edit the campaigns. I see I have it on a filter. All right, well, we'll just look at this one that is also scheduled. I just had it filtered out, but I can see the postcard, I can see the schedule. So when I expect things to be delivered, I can view the recipients, I can edit the recipients. If somebody calls me back from an SMS campaign or texts me back, I can remove them from here. And once it's in the mailing system, we'll have a link to your tracking information here as well. So really easy. You saw it was one step overall, but there was like 5 different settings. You just push from PropStack into there after you list stack, and it's ready to go. That's all you need to do. So it's really quick, really easy. You just pay for it as you use it. If you've never done direct mail, come try it out. It's a great way to laser target your leads, but also, as Jason said, not keeping all of your eggs in one basket. If you're using SMS, start doing direct mail, start calling. If you're only calling, do direct mail, do it all. And some people are gonna return a phone call, some people are gonna return a text, some people are gonna respond to a postcard. Everybody replies to different things. And so using these different methods is not only just having all your eggs in one basket, and if something goes wrong, you're kind of screwed, but it also means that you're gonna get a better response overall and close more deals. So if anybody has any questions about PropStack itself, how list stacking works, how direct mail works, or how anything else, we still have SMS campaigns and skip trace. They're just not our newest thing, so I haven't gone into too much detail here, but please do post it in the Q&A and let me know if you have any questions. I will pass the screen back over to Jason to kind of wrap up the presentation. And then if we have any Q&A, we can address that.
We do have one question. Let's see, we have additional tags that we use. Are we able to customize and list stack with our own tags as well?
Yes, great question. So there are a bunch of default tags in there. Actually, maybe I can share my screen again. Sorry, Jason, to steal it back from you.
No problem.
All right. So all of these tags that you see here are default ones, except for these ones that clearly say custom at the end. So most of these are default in here for you so that you can import and already have tags. You don't have to create them. But if there are tags that you don't see here that you want to be able to list stack by, you just come here to tag management and you can create a new tag. You can also create tags that are not distress indicators. So something like high equity or golden address doesn't tell you that property is more under distress. So they're marked as no for a distress indicator. And so you can do the same thing when you're creating new tags. That way you can, when you're using the distress indicator scale, you're showing only the properties that fit within that criteria of actual distress indicators and not just tags that don't necessarily tell you a property is more under distress or not.
Another important related point that I'd like to add too is, if you use our skip trace, I think we return something like 14 or more different data points, right? And so the system is going to auto tag those for you. So if you've been skip tracing with us for a while, you've already got your list stacked for you. So you should go into your account, check it out. You probably got properties in there with multiple indicators, distress indicators. So that's a really important feature to understand and remember. We're auto tagging from other sources now too, besides just our skip trace data sources as well. So we've got more data feeds coming in all the time. So definitely take advantage of that.
Yeah, and so that's for all of your existing skip traces, even going back, a year ago. It's all auto tagged for you, but then also going forward. So anybody who's not using our skip trace and wants to try it out, that is another benefit of using it. And then coming to PropStack, which again is free. And so you'll be able to list stack your data that's already tagged for you. All right, other questions, Laura?
Yes, we have a question. Can I create my own postcards?
Not yet. It is coming. And it is a feature that's been highly requested. So we're stabilizing some other things right now, and then it will be something that we're adding to the system sometime this year, probably.
All right, and for the list stack, is there a limit for the uploads?
Oh, sorry, did I not say that? So right now, PropStack is actually completely unlimited. So take advantage of that while you can, because in the future, we will have some different tiers, but at this time, no limits at all. So just come dump all your data in there and start taking advantage of it now.
And we will have a forever free
Yes.
tier as well. So
Yeah.
there will be the entry level tier will never cost you guys a thing.
Yeah. But we're still quite a little while out from that. So come just take full advantage of it while it's completely unlimited. Laura?
Alrighty, yes, we have another one here. When using PropStack, is every contact responded to separately one at a time, unless you push a few to an SMS campaign?
Yeah, so you have that option. You have the option of both. So if you want to do those really specific laser targeted follow-ups, then you just come here, you open the messages tab, and you can quickly go next, 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 and scroll through that list. Or you can bulk select and then push to a normal SMS campaign. So if you are familiar with SMS, it just queues them all up for you, and you send out your messages. So you have the option of either bulk or one-off messaging.
Alrighty, it looks like we have one question left in here. Is there a way to create a list of every text lead where you have set a reminder for?
Yes, actually. So under our additional filters here, we have a has reminder filter. And so you can hit apply, and these are all of our prospects that have reminders set. And so you can go through, view whether or not the reminder is still valid or not, and clean them up. Or you can just push to an SMS campaign, do whatever you want with them, but that's your filter that you're looking for there. Another filter actually that I did not touch on, which is huge, is that we have a recently vacant filter. So if a property has gone vacant in the last 30 days, it's a constant rolling 30 days, it's constantly checking for updates, it will get returned here in the recently vacant. So all of these properties, these 155 properties have been just changed to a vacant true status in the last 30 days.
All right, we have one more trickle in. How do you currently track returned mail that comes back from direct mail campaigns?
So actually we're adding a more insight into that in the next couple of weeks, I believe, where on the direct mail campaign, where on the details page here, when it's not a canceled campaign, it will say your percentage of delivery and then the undeliverables, and you'll be able to download your undeliverables or have the option to skip trace them. And we've got more functions coming to that later, possibly auto tagging that. But right now you will get your returned mail and you can track that on your own, but we are adding those features to kind of automate that process for you.
Yeah, no more. Once this is implemented, and this is coming soon, you're not going to have to go to your PO box and pull out the thousands of return cards and have your VA scan them in and translate those into actual data back into right. It's just you're going to know really before the return mail ever even hit your PO box which mail wasn't deliverable, and you're going to be able to take action immediately on those prospects. So we've really taken a lot of work out of it, done the heavy lifting for you.
Yep, and if anybody else has other pain points, maybe you're using direct mail right now, but there's these things that are super manual that you're like, oh, I wish somebody would fix this for me. Please reach out to us and always give us that feedback, even if you don't know what the solution should be, but you just have problems that need solved. Let us know, because we want to solve those problems for you with our features. Anything else?
All right.
All righty. We have one more question. Like, this is our last one. I have some leads where the property address is incorrect. Is there a way to edit the property address in the text section?
In the texting section, so on the prospect page. So to correct them, if you know in bulk, if you re-import with phone numbers, it will update the property addresses. So the phone number is the source of truth here. And so if you import that phone number with a new property address, it will update it. So you can correct your data that way. But more specific questions like that, where you might need, I don't know, more in-depth help, feel free to reach out to support@leadsherpa.com. We'll definitely help you there. All right. I think that wraps us up. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining and listening. I hope that this was really helpful and insightful for everybody, whether you're an SMS user or not. And if you have any more questions, or if anything didn't get answered, please reach out to us at support@leadsherpa.com and we will help you there.